Okay, let's try another one. We are now on this 2g. Let's look at number h, all right? The 2x squared is greater than or equal to 4. So it's just all these little quirky little quadratics that we're working with. So let me switch over to show me a new page. All right, so we got 2x squared is greater than or equal to 4. So let's follow the process. Follow the process. The process says first thing, bring everything to the left, set the right hand side to 0. So subtract 4 from both sides. So I'm going to have 2x squared minus 4 is greater than or equal to 0. So now you got to factor that. So nothing stands out right off the top of your head. So I would just go, now you could divide everything by 2. Divide everything by 2 at first. That will get rid of the 2. I mean, why not? So x squared minus 2. Now, since I divided by 2, it was a positive 2, I did not have to change my sign. If I divided by negative 2, I would have to flip that sign, but I didn't do that. Now, does that help? It's a little bit cleaner. Does anything stand out? Nothing may stand out, but there is a little trick. So if nothing stands out, just do the quadratic formula. Just straight do the quadratic formula. It cannot fail you. You always will get it right. So if you use the quadratic formula, what is that? Negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a, right? And so negative, there is no b term, so it's just going to be 0. So it's going to be, boom. So I'm going to have plus or minus the square root. There's no b squared. So it's just going to be 4 minus ac, which is negative 4, times a, which is 1, times c, which is negative 2. So it's going to be 8 all over 2. So square root of 8 over 2, plus or minus. So square root of 8 is the same as, I'm going to write over here, 4 times 2, right? And you can do the square root of 4. That's going to be equal to just 2. And then you have a 2 on top and 2 on the bottom. They cross off. So your final answer is plus or minus square root of 2. Now remember, that's what x is. So it's quadratic. If you use the quadratic formula, it doesn't put it in the factored form. It actually solves for x. So you want to write that in the factored form. You want to say x is plus square root of 2 and x is minus square root of 2. And that's all greater than or equal to 0. So by using this quadratic formula, I solve for x plus or minus square root of 2. And then I got to put that in there and actually, as a factor, put it like that. So now there's one other way you could, there's a couple other ways. One way you could have done is you could have looked at this and been like, hey, that's the difference between two perfect squares. You don't think of 2 as a perfect square, but isn't the square root of 2, right? Square root of 2 times square root of 2 is going to bring you back to 2. So it's tricky because you're used to seeing it like this, like something like that, and then you say, oh, that's x plus 5 and x minus 5. But you can do that trick with any number as long as the first one is x squared. Say it's x squared minus 17. Well, that's going to be, the factors are going to be x plus the square root of 17 and x minus the square root of 17. It's going to always happen like that. And the quadratic equation will get you there either way. So now you can break it down into a sign diagram. Oh, hopefully you guys see that part. So in the sign diagram, I'm going to write my two terms, x plus square root of 2. And then what happens when you multiply 2 together? So 0 is here. One of them is negative square root of 2. I'll write it right here. That's one of my zeros. And the other one, of course, is going to be positive square root of 2. That's going to be right here. Now, to the left, it's going to be negative. To the right, positive. Right? Because, like, just try an x. Like, try x when x is, like, negative 10. What's negative 10 and square root of 2? Well, it's going to be negative. Because square root of 2 is, like, 1.4, something like that. So it's positive. Then this is going to be negative, right? Positive, negative, all negative to the left. And then when you multiply 2 together, you get that typical pattern we're used to. positive, negative, positive. So it's, once again, it's two different regions split. So it's going to be, the answer should be when x is less than or equal to negative square root of 2, or when x is greater than or equal to positive square root of 2. Those are the two regions, here and here, when you have when the total answer is greater than 0. That's the region when they're either both positive or they're both negative. That's the only way you get that. So there you go. Hopefully that's good.